When I was a kid, my family and I used to go out to Lancaster, Pennsylvania every once in a while, Amish country out there. And there's a Christian theater production group called Sight and Sound. And they would put on these pretty impressive, well-made plays, usually around Bible stories, creation, life of Jesus, Noah, Esther, a little bit of everything. And when you would walk up to the very impressive looking building, great facade up front, they had this large fountain of a lion and a lamb right next to each other. And if you've been in church any length of time, you probably recognize that reference as being from Isaiah about the millennial reign of God, that the lion and the lamb will lie down together in harmony. Only problem is, it's not in the Bible. Hey everyone, I'm Colin, the resident nerd and Bible scholar here at the Bible Uncut and Unfiltered. And we recently started up a series of shorts on the Mandela effect and the Bible. The Mandela effect is where there's a collective remembering of something that didn't actually happen. Great example of this is Star Wars. Luke, I am your father, right? Darth Vader never said that. The line is actually, no, I am your father. But we all remember hearing it as Luke, I am your father. So this happens in the Bible too a lot. And this is a perfect example of it. This one still makes me mad a little bit when I realize how long I went quoting this, thinking about it as being in the Bible, and it's not there. The passage in question is Isaiah 11, and in particular, verse 6. And here's how it actually reads. The wolf also shall lie down with the lamb, and the leopard shall lie down with the kid, like a young goat. And the calf and the young lion and the fatling together, and a little child will lead them. So you do have lion and lamb in near proximity to each other, but they are not the things compared. You have the wolf and the lamb, and the calf and the young lion. So it's not actually lion and lamb. And this is something that people just do not realize. I mean, if you search lion and lamb, not only do you get people quoting it, you get books about it. I find businesses, like when I searched lion and lamb, I actually got a result of a coffee shop called the Lion and Lamb Coffee Roasters, and all the way out in California too, so I don't know why. But it's a popular Christian phrase, and yet it's never once said in the Bible. And you can search the rest of Isaiah, you can search the rest of the Bible. Those two creatures are never paired with each other. That is a great example of the Mandela effect and the Bible. And sadly, there are people who are so upset over this when they realize it, that rather than admitting they just misremembered the verse or heard it preached differently, they are actually convinced that this is like conspiracy level Mandela effect. There are all kinds of sites you can find online of people swearing that some secret government agency, or honestly usually CERN, because these sites have not been updated in the last 15 years, and they're convinced that these groups have like somehow changed the Bible, and that if you could find a print copy of the Bible from 200 years ago, it would say lion and lamb, and it's just because everything's digital today that we see it, like they're changing our Bible. If there really was some massive conspiracy to change Christianity, do you think it would be by changing which animals are put together in a verse? Like, there are bigger things that could have been hit than that. And we have manuscript evidence from thousands of years ago of these verses. And it's always lion with calf and wolf with lamb. This is not some massive conspiracy theory. It's just an example of how fallible our memory is, how easy it is for us to misremember something. And rather than getting upset over that, we should actually just be focusing on the message of this passage, because Isaiah 11 is a beautiful prophecy of a future restoration of humanity, where we are no longer at war with each other or at odds with God, where we actually all get to rest in this Eden-like blessing together. See, it's not necessarily about literal wolves and lions and calves and lambs, but throughout the Tanakh, things like wolves and lions were used often as a metaphor for Israel's enemies, and Israel was often referenced as sheep. So this is more saying that they will be at peace with their enemies. And even if you just look a couple verses down in verse 8, you have, and the sucking child shall play on the hole of the asp, and the weaned child shall put his hand on the cockatrice den. Now I realize that's some really funky old English wording that really confuses up that verse. But the important thing to realize is it's talking about having a child playing with snakes. Now, that's not a smart thing. But can you think of how that might tie into some key themes from early on in the Bible? Humanity at war with a serpent? Come on. Like, this is a beautiful use of metaphorical imagery to say that we are no longer going to be at war with each other or with God. We are able to access this Eden peace with each other. So rather than getting all bent out of shape over a verse not actually being the way that we thought it was, we need to have the humility to admit that we are fallible. We sometimes misremember things, and the message of this verse, the hope of this passage, stands one way or the other.